Racing Tuesday, the 13th of June, comes to us from the Vaal racecourse. We have an 8-race program. The first of those 8 races due for 12:35, and the last race will go at 16:25. The bipod will start in race 1, and the bipod is the chosen bet for this meeting by our resident contributor to the show, Alistair Cohen, fresh off tipping the pick 6 on Sunday on this show. So hopefully you followed his advice for yesterday's race meeting at Turfington. And of course I say yesterday because we record the show on Monday morning. Well done, Alistair, on tipping the pick 6 and paid 16 grand. Not a bad one.
Yeah, thank you, Graham. I'll take that with both hands. I did like the card. I've mentioned that to Raheel on Saturday morning, that it looked to be a Jubilee Stakes race meeting that punters could make a lot of inroads. I think the weekend went according to plan, but I'm very happy with the 16,000 Rand return. We'll take that with both hands. And hopefully we can continue the form on Tuesday at the Vaal. I quite like the card. The last race was an absolute headache. Race 5 was also quite tricky. But bar that, I think we got some pretty useful racing to look forward to.
Well, let's hope you continue the form, as you said, by giving us a healthy profit on the bipod, which we will go through and then recap at the end of the show. But let's get into it. The first race is a maiden plate over 1,400 metres. Opening leg of the bipod. It goes at 12:35. There appear to be 2 standouts in the race. In the form of numbers 12, Hawk Bill, which has been priced up at 15-10. Number 13, Hotter Ruby at 3-1. Both bring very good form into the race, as does, to a lesser extent, number 11, George Handel, who's at 9-2. But George Handel was soundly beaten by Hawk Bill on the 25th of May. And the rest of them pretty much don't matter as far as the betting is concerned. You've chosen to include both numbers 12, Hawk Bill, and 13, Hotter Ruby, in the opening leg of the bipod. What's your top choice?
My top choice here, Graham, is number 12, Hawkbill. I spoke to Lucky Hudalakis about him because after his second start, I actually wrote Lucky in and said, gee, that horse Hawkbill's going to win next time. He said, I'm surprised at how he's going along because he doesn't show much at work, and I'm looking forward to him going further than 1,200 metres. I think the stance last time was that it looked like an open highway for Hawkbill to win and got touched off at 5-10 by Mount Palazzo, so Lucky's not going to bother with 1,200 metres again, 1,400 metres down the straight. Although that being difficult, Lucky is probably the best trainer down the straight of the Vaal. I think being based there helps as well. And I think number 12, Hawkbill, will be a hard horse to beat. He does finish off his races nicely without getting the nose in front, and I think that he'll get the job done. I've also spoken to Sean Terry about the profile of number 13, Hotter Ruby, because he got beaten by Candice Dawson for Bomb first time out. And I asked Sean, what do you think of Hotter Ruby? He said, clearly a better horse on race day than at work. Last time behind French Impact, I thought that was a fair run. French Impact did okay on Sunday at Turfington. It was a fair run, didn't rip up any trees, but I don't think he's too far away from winning. I think the big kicker with Hotter Ruby is that Keegan DeMello now takes the ride for Sean Terry, so I think that's got to speak volumes. And if you consider that George Handel's the third favourite and makes some sort of appeal, and he is soundly held by number 12, Hawkbill, on that last run, then I think that just puts it into perspective. So I think you'll be safe with 2 runners. I'll be hoping to double up. Just a little bit of food for thought before we move further. We are on the original track, and just take note that we are racing sort of hard up on the outside. The outside rail is 13 meters in. Sorry, we're racing on basically the inside half of the track. The outside rail is 13 meters in. Last week, the outside draws, the high numbers, had a distinct advantage. I think it will be a lot more level this time around. So the high number draw of George Handel a week ago would have been a huge benefit. Tuesday's meeting, it might be a little bit less of a kicker than what it was a week earlier.
So in effect, we're racing on half the track, half the width, and the middle to inside half of the track. That's a very important point to recognise. Of course, when you look at Hawkbill's profile, it's that penultimate run, that second behind Jerusalem Rain, that really stands out. So Hawkbill and Hotter Ruby, the top 2 in the market, to fight it out, and both are included in the first leg of the bipod. The second leg of the bipod does present us with a banker opportunity. It's a maiden plate for fillies and mares over 1,000 metres. The odds-on favourite is number 6, Empress Game, 7-10. It is worth noting a little bit of anti-post support for the first time at number 8, Jasiri, into 4-1. But it does look as if this is Empress Game's race to lose, Alistair.
I'll be surprised if Empress Game doesn't win, Graham. There was a lot of talk for her on debut. The money was down. She was punted from 17 to 2 to 18 to 10. She got undone, in my opinion, by two things, the inside track and also the experience of Awe Lami. I don't think there'll be any mistakes this time around. I think number 6, Empress Game, will take all the beating. I don't want to go into too much depth in this race because I think all the other horses fit a similar type of argument. Interesting money about number 8, Jasiri. She's a nicely bred daughter of Canford Cliffs. I think that makes her half sister to Bingwa, but obviously Bingwa was most effective over a mile, and especially being by Canford Cliffs, you'd expect Jasiri to be more effective over a trip. So I think number 6, Empress Game, very, very hard horse to beat. She should make amends. First leg of the place accumulator, second leg of the bar pot. There'd be outrage if she missed the first two. Just with regards to the source number 4, Together Again, I've been on course for her last 2 starts. She's a good mover down to the start, and she's run nicely in her last 2 races. I don't expect her to beat Empress Game over 1,000 metres. I don't think she's got the pace to be effective over 1,000 metres, but I think she could be a nice horse for swingers.
So there we go. PA Banker, Bipot Banker in race 2, number 6, Empress Game. Race 3 is 1,000 metres, fillies and mares, 92 handicap. It is the opening leg of the pick 6. It goes at 13.45. It is the For Racing Thanks and appreciates the Azzy Racing stable. And Michael Azzy has a runner in the race, and Adam Azzy, the Adam Azzy combination, has a run in the race. Number 3, Rose for Trippy, which has in fact been priced up, the anti-post favourite, at 3 to 1. Number 4, Mythical Dream, and number 6, Rosara, both at 4 to 1. Number 2, Big Eyed Girl at 5 to 1. 7 to 1 about number 5, Vivacious Spirit. 8 to 1, number 1, May Queen. 9 to 1, number 8, Wings of Nike. And the only runner not in single figures is number 7, Silver Winter. Looks a competitive race. The Azzy stable going to win their own race?
Yeah, what's that old story with, I remember Mike Batts won his farewell race with Marinaresco. Michael Roberts always seems to have a chance in the Michael Roberts handicap. I think Dennis Dreyer did something in the, I remember there was the Beach Beauty Mile. I'm sure Dennis Dreyer won that once upon a time as well. So maybe the Azzy stable can strike with number 3, Rose for Trippy. She is my top choice. Funny enough, I actually think Running Fresh could be the secret to this daughter of Trippy, and also the lightly fast track will also stand her in good stead. I think she's rather, well, you can see, she's evidently one-dimensional in terms of her best trip. She seems to be isolated to a 1,000-metre horse. She ran against Stronger last time behind Bold Act, and she was unlucky. I don't think she wins, but I think she was unlucky not to get a whole lot closer. That was when Boldak dropped in distance. She was the biggest outsider, and she blew them away. But horses have come out from in behind and won that and have won subsequently. Even their penultimate starts are Cold Fact. Cold Fact came out and won the Camellia Stakes on Champions Day. So there's enough in favour of number 3, Rose for Trippy. And even though Keegan DeMiller is obviously retained by the Werners family on the half-out, he might have had a little bit of an argument with Johan Janssen van Vuren to ride Rose for Trippy as opposed to Johan's horses. So I think there's enough pointing into her direction. I don't think it's a one-way street, though. I think number 5, Vivacious Spirit, could be well teed up. I think she's underachieved, but I don't think she's going to be too far away from featuring. The handicap has given her a little bit of relief. Maybe not enough relief to win, but I do believe she'll run a better race, number 5, Vivacious Spirit. She could be the value and be the one that makes sort of top 3 bets pay. And then number 6, Rosara, even though she's still got a little bit of a deficit to turn with Big Eyed Girl, obviously comes in better off at the weight. But the numbers probably don't add up to her reversing. But I think she will reverse the form with Big Eyed Girl, because I'm of the opinion that she's needed her last few runs. She came back from a 3-month layoff, and she's progressively finished closer, not necessarily lengthwise, but she struck me as the type of filly that just needs a little bit of racing, and she'll be better as time goes on. So I think number 6, Rosara, will finish a lot closer to number 2, Big Eyed Girl, and that's a Big Eyed Girl run. She ran 7 days ago, and I think it's pretty evident that Johan's trying to keep the race alive for something or another. So I think number 6, Rosara, is going to be in the first 3.
What is interesting, and a word of caution regarding both numbers 3, Rose for Trippy, and number 6, Rosara, Alistair. As you said, the going is now very quick. The tracks have hardened up. Both of them, particularly Rose for Trippy, they just can't get out the gates.
Yeah, that is obviously a cause for concern, but I think that there'll be enough pace for them to aim at. I hope they're finishing in time, and I really do believe the winner comes from one of those 3 that I've mentioned.
Okay, let's move on to race 4, which is the first leg of Jackpot 1. It's a middle stakes over 2,000 metres. And I can tell you that obviously this is a tough race as far as Alistair is concerned. It's included no fewer than 5 runners in this leg of the bipot. The early betting, though, has number 3, Willow's Wish, for Keegan DeMello and Sean Tarrier is the favourite at 7-2. Number 4, Raffles at 4-1. Number 1, Street Art, and the inform number 7, Millihue at 5-1. Number 8, Patton's Tears at 13-2. Double figures and better about the rest. Now, Alistair, I had a look at this race, obviously, and I just thought there might be incredible value at the price about number 8, Patton's Tears.
She is, according to the official handicapper, the best weighted horse in the race, Graham, but she's just forgotten how to win. She has been so frustrating. I've been with her so many times, but 782 days since her last win. And every time she runs, she'll deceive you, thinking, right, next time she'll get it right, because she runs on, she does her best work late. She always looks like she's mowing down most of the field, but she fails to win. And last time I thought, when Greek Miss is beating you, Greek Miss hadn't won in about a year. I think that just puts everything into perspective with number 8, Patton's Tears. 51.5 kilos, good draw again. There's so much in her favour, and obviously the conditions of a middle stakes suit her down to the ground. I'm sure she'll be somewhere around the frame. She'll be in the top 4. I mean, her recent runs, in fact, all her runs this year, she's been out of the top 4 only once, and that was a trip down to the tighter turning Hollywoodbets Greyville polytrack. So I think there's every reason to believe that she'll be flexing her muscles in the closing stages, but I'm very gun-shy with number 8, Patton's Tears. If you had to ask me for a top choice here, it would be number 3, Willow's Wish, but with a sense of standoffishness about him. He's loving life at the moment. He's also having a very good last few months. I think that the half-out track suits him quite nicely. I remember when he was running around Hollywoodbets Scottsville as well, he was running his best races there. He's sort of emerged as an above-average horse, his rating of 99. I don't like it when a horse gets punished for being a loser, but he got 3 pounds for being beaten by Susan when he had every right to win the race and just failed to get the job done from a tenacious Susan on that occasion. I think the weight turnaround probably played against him. Keegan DeMello seems to get a tune out of him. So number 3, Willow's Wish, with a little bit of trepidation, is my top choice. It'll be a big test for Street Art in that daily news form. He got absolutely punished. He got whacked. 15 pounds for that run in the daily news last time out, when finishing 6.5 lengths to see it again. But he is a real galloper. He'll be better off on the Gauteng course. So number 1, Street Art, despite top weight and despite a huge penalty that he's got to carry, there's not one I'm going to let run loose. He's not my top choice, but obviously Tony Peters just, his horses are absolutely flying at the moment. 7, Millihue, I thought won easier than the margins suggested last time. He found a little bit of traffic problems, but Diego de Gabea managed to weave a way through. I think he's a horse on the up on the half out, so he's going to be dangerous. He only got 2 pounds for that last run. And funny enough, I was chatting to Matthew Thackeray in PE on Friday, and he said, I'm riding a horse for Tyrone Zaki with 50 kilos on the back, and he needed his last 2 runs badly, and he's going to come in with this into this race on Tuesday, and he's going to be a big, big danger. Don't leave him out. 3rd run after a race. Obviously needed those first 2 runs. They weren't stinkers by any stretch of the imagination. Out of the Mambo Come Tesgo form, Over to You has already franked that form and finished just in front of Indian War Dance. So I can see the case, and it wouldn't be beyond Tyrone Zaki to pop up at a big price either.
So there we go, a very tricky race, race 4, the opening leg of Jackpot 1. We move to the first leg of Jackpot 2, which is a fillies and mares 76 handicap over the minimum trip of 1,000 metres. We have a strong favourite here in the form of number 3, Call Me When You Need Me. 2-year-old in handicap company, 15-10 the price. Number 5, Samoa, is at 9-2. Number 4, Insatiable, is at 5-1. Number 11, Feather the Nest, at 9-1. The balance are in double figures. Now, Alistair, as far as the bipod is concerned, you've gone with just 2 runners. Number 3, Call Me When You Need Me, and the backup is number 5, Samoa, the course and distance specialist.
Talk about poles apart here, Graham. I've gone with a 2-year-old and the 8-year-old. Nothing in between.
Well, the average age is 5.
The way things are working out at the moment, Graham, it looks like the 2-year-olds, the progressive 2-year-olds, hold the number of these well-established and in their place older horses. So I'd be surprised that number 3, Call Me When You Need Me, doesn't run a big race, and she is the horse that I'm sipping quite confidently on top. I think her second run was probably her career best, even though she received 3 kilos from Mrs. Geriatrics. Mrs. Geriatrics is now a Group 2 and Group 1 winner. So there's every reason to believe that number 3, Call Me When You Need Me, with a little bit of time on her side, is going to probably, she's obviously going to be a lot better than all these horses, but running off a net 76, I think there's enough in her favour. Coming off a short layoff wouldn't worry me too much. Keegan DeMello takes a ride. Ripple Effect is a very, very nice filly. She came out and beat a very weak field about 2 weeks ago, but the points she's holding in high regard, and she went for 850,000 Rand at the Fortune Dispersal sale a week earlier. So number 3, Call Me When You Need Me, I think she's got everything in the right place. And then number 5, Samoa, I'm happy that she's back to 1,000 metres. That was the distance that she won over most recently. Even though she's won over 1,200 metres in 1160, she is best over 1,000 metres, and her best friend Gavin Lorena takes the ride on her again. She's been a lovely horse to follow. I don't know how much life there is left in this 8-year-old daughter of Global One. She's going to be 9 in less than 2 months' time, but she's running in the pink of health at the moment, and there's no reason to totally rule out her chances, even though she's got the young whippersnapper, the horse to beat.
Race 6, the Fillies and Mares 76 handicap, over 1,000 metres. Similar story, but here we've got number 4, Virginia Beach, as your favourite at 2-1. Again, a 2-year-old. Not quite 8 years old, but the market rival is number 1, Letitia's Angel, at 3-1. And then we've got number 7, Clean Living, at 8-1. The balance are in double figures. Virginia Beach, pretty much the same story, promising 2-year-old against some battling handicappers.
I think that's the way that it has to be read here, Graham, and also from a bang informed stable as well. I mean, they're just permanently informed. It's crazy. Interestingly enough, her sister runs earlier on in the form of the Veta Spirit, who runs in race number 3. So I don't know if the stars are going to align or whatever the case may be. Maybe that's all absolute hogwash, but the point is her sister runs earlier on in the card. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that the family has a double. For Virginia Beach, looked the part when winning her debut. Obviously, that was early days, and you question whether they're going to train on and be precocious enough. Her second start behind the Africa House was fair. The Africa House, I think, is all right. He ran fairly. He ran midfield in the gold medallion on Hollywoodbets Scottsville just over a week ago. But I think there are wins to come. I'd hesitate to say that she was outclassed by Mrs. Geriatrics last time, but the point is that form from the Ruffian Stakes has worked out to be very, very valuable indeed, with a few horses in and around Virginia Beach winning races of fair stature as well. So I think that she is the one they all need to beat, and that improvement factor obviously counts for a lot. Number 1, Letitia's Angel, I think is going to be a huge chance to spark top weight. I've gone on record, and so has Ashley Fortune, and so did Ryan Munger when she was winning her races. She is not an easy horse to ride. She has her intricacies. She has a few tricks up her sleeve as well. But I think with Raymond Danielson having ridden her twice, and, Raymond getting to know her, obviously working for Ashley, going out to the Vaal and riding work there, I think that if he is going to get the hang of her, a filly with probably unlocked, I know she's 5 and she's won 6 times, but I wouldn't say she's unlocked all of her potential, but maybe Raymond can unlock a little bit more on Letitia's Angel, getting to know her a little bit better. And then I think the improver in the race is number 8, Prey Upon a Star. I think she'll run in the first 4. She's drawn hard up on the outside. We'll have to wait and see whether that's good or bad. But her ratings come down a little bit further. I think she needed her 2 runs back. She certainly needed her first run back, which wasn't bad, behind Berengaria. Last time was probably a flat run. I don't like to put things down to second run after a rest, but I think she'll run a lot better with a lightweight number 8, Prey Upon a Star. Win? No, but I think that she's the value in trifectas and quartets.
So there we go. That's the analysis for race 6. Just one further point of interest about Letitia's Angel, Alistair, is the fact that she's had an extended career. She's had 45 starts. She's won 6. She's done very well for her connections. But this will be only her second start of those 45 over track and trip, and she won her only previous start on the Vaal track over 1,000 metres. So just a point to note, a point of interest, but she's got the up-and-coming rising 2-year-old to beat. Race 7, the MR 104 handicap over 1,100 metres. Cleaver Green is steadily coming back to his very best form after a lengthy spell on the sidelines. He's at 17-10. The ultra-consistent number 6, Sheldon, is at 3-1. Number 1, Godswood, perhaps something of a surprise winner in its penultimate start, and then a good 5th behind Sheila in its next. Godswood is at 7-1. and they're betting any price about the balance. Cleaver Green, he now looks cherry ripe, but it's not going to be easy.
It won't be easy, Graham, but his reputation probably precedes him. Interestingly, blinkers get fitted to the son of Repeat for the first time. He definitely needed his first 2 runs back. I called his penultimate start when coming back from an 11-month, or rather 13-month layoff, and he ran like he needed. Don't worry too much about the weight turnaround, even though Godswood, obviously has a whole lot more weight to carry, as does Cleaver Green. I don't think there'll be 5 1/4 lengths between them. And it was a refreshing run last time to see Cleaver Green go close to Mrs. Browning. Mrs. Browning ran a good race in the East Coast Radio Tibashina Stakes on Saturday. So I think there's enough to suggest that number 3, Cleaver Green, is going to be the horse to beat. He is my top selection. I think number 6, Sheldon, deserves a good mention as well. He's very well weighted to turn it around with Godswood on that last run. Godswood's got 2 kilos less to carry, but Sheldon's got 2.5 kilos less to carry. So I think that, and remember that Godswood's reduction in weight is obviously by virtue of an apprentice allowance. So I think number 6, Sheldon, might turn it around with Godswood. He was expected to last time. He got undone by an informed Godswood, who was obviously feeling well on the day. He's not the easiest mover, but he to be fair, he looked really well on that occasion when winning his penultimate start. So, Sheldon, I think, is probably just a little bit more reliable. And then interesting with Godswood, the blinkers come back off. They tried blinkers last time. Wasn't the first time that they tried the headgear. Obviously, there were, Byron Butts and his team were a little bit disturbed by that last run. So the blinkers come off number 1, Godswood. But I think that he's got a little bit to do at the weights. And the 2.5 kilo claim, I think, will make some difference, but probably not the ultimate difference. So 3, Cleaver Green, my top choice, with Sheldon being a reliable backup in terms of swingers and exactors, to be fair. And the place accumulator in pick 6, I'll go with the 3 horses, 1, 3, and 6.
And so we move to the 8th and final race, and this is the Full Racing thanks and appreciates Clinton Binder Racing MR68 handicap over 1,200 metres. Earlier we had the race named in honour of the Azzy Racing stable, and he's got the favourite there. Here, Clinton Binder's got a 3-pronged attack to try and win his own race with numbers 2, Ramshandani Road, 4, Whirly Whirly, and 7, Pinda Mzala. It's a very open race, but here again he does have the market leader in the form of number 7, Pinda Mzala. Keegan DeMello takes the ride. That's at 4-1. Number 5, Go Ship, is 5-1. 2, Ramshandani Road is 7-1. Number 12, Gal Gadot, who is Rod Beckers's value bet for the day, that is at 8-1. The rest are in double figures. It looks a very trappy contest, the 8th and final race.
Yeah, as I described this race at the top of the show, Graham, this race is an absolute headache. I think Binder's got a good chance of winning his own race. I was very strong on Ramchandani Road last time, and someone listened to me, and the money was down. And he wobbled at the 300 metres mark and did not recover and ran 4.5 lengths behind after hours. The fact that he's back 7 days later, I think, is a good sign. Calvin Abiba's back on board. Let's see what we get for number 2, Ramchandani Road, because that last one was bitterly disappointing for me. But he's back to the scene of the crime, so hopefully he can run a better race. The other Binder runners, number 7, Pinda Mzala, as you say, is at the top of the board, probably deserves that place. Keegan DeMello takes a ride. He's been running nicely down at Hollywoodbets Greyville on the poly track, and both of his wins have come on the turf, so maybe coming back, it's not green stuff at the Vaal at the moment, but coming back to the turf can stand him in good stead. But 992 days since his last win, that is a concern for number 7, Pinda Mzala. But he runs his races and he shouldn't be miles away. And then interestingly, I know that if I was doing this with Sheldon Peters, he would make a very strong case for number 4, Whirly Whirly. And I could see the case for Whirly Whirly. From a high merit rating of 111, he's obviously not that horse anymore, but he's now down to a career low of 68 and showing signs of life of late. And coming back from a 62-day layoff, his record after a layoff isn't pretty, but maybe he's the type of horse with the old legs coming out fresh, could stand him in good stead, number 4, Whirly Whirly. An 11-time winner, easily the best performed horse in the race. I'm going to make a case for him running into the first 4, number 4, Whirly Whirly. Who's my top choice here? You're going to laugh at me. Number 6, Lulu's Boy. I think he's going to run a huge race, a 2-time winner, both wins over 1,000 metres. He tried the poly last time at Hollywoodbets Greyville. It was bad. He was hopelessly outgunned at his penultimate start, but his run before that in a similar type of level. I think what Cobus Root does is I think he sets his horse up in the wrong races, knowing that he can't win those, and get them sort of battle hardened for races like this. Number 6, Lulu's Boy, my top choice in the last race, but don't hold the gun to my head here.
Lulu's Boy, double figure odds at this stage. That's Alistair's top choice in what looks to be a very trappy contest and clearly the most difficult race on the card. So maybe if you're able to lighten up in the first couple of legs, you're able to go the field in the last. Now we're going to run through and recap Alistair's bipot for the day. He was successful. He tipped us the pick 6 at Turfentine on Sunday, so hopefully he can follow up. But before we do get to his bipot, clearly, Alistair, Keegan DeMello looks to be the man to follow. These are his rides. Hotarubi, Jasseri finding some anti-post support in the second, Rose for Trippy in the third, Willow's Wish in the fourth, Call Me When You Need Me in the fifth. Then he doesn't have any rides until the last race where he rides the weak favourite Pindam Zala. So Keegan DeMello could be the man to follow at the Vaal on Tuesday.
Knowing Keegan, he's going to go there with an open mind, hoping for a winner, and getting to know him over the last sort of few months and getting to know him well and travelling around with Keegan, he'll have a good understanding of who he's riding and what he's going to do, but take the pressure totally off himself. And I think that's a good attribute, and probably the main attribute, other than the support he's getting, that's going to take him to a very likely Jockeys Championship, his first one. So my bipot numbers getting underway at 25-1, first leg 12 and 13, Hawkbill and Hotarubi. I'd like to double up there. I think I will double up there. But banker number 6, Empress Game. Race 3, third leg of the bipod, 3, 5, and 6, tricky race. I'm pretty sure I'll survive that. That's obviously why I've gone those numbers. Rose for Trippy, Vivacious Spirit, and Rosara. The fourth race, fourth leg of the bipod, I've gone 1, Street Art, 3, Willow's Wish, 7, Millahue, 8, Peyton's Tears, but watch for a big run from number 10, Indian War Dance at a big price. The penultimate leg, I've gone with numbers 3 and 5, Call Me When You Need Me, and Samoa. And then the final leg of the bipod, I'm going to be hoping Freya Star can get into the first 2, number 8 on the card. I don't think she'll win, but she is my money spinner in that race. 1, 4, and 8, my numbers in the final leg of the bipod.
Alistair, as always, thanks very much for your time. Thanks very much for your contribution. Again, we remind you, we're recording the show on Monday morning. At this stage, there were very few changes and no scratchings, so keep an eye on the websites for the up-to-the-minute scratchings and equipment changes, potential jockey changes, etc. Thanks for joining us. Happy punting at the Vaal.